Welcome back. All right, so quick news of the day video for all you fine people for your Tuesday, October the 18th, less than 2 weeks till Halloween. Evgeny Kuznetsov has been suspended one game by the Department of Player Safety. There was a high stick last night delivered on Kyle Burrows, and no, I didn't talk about it in the review. Uh, when I do the review slash recap videos, I stay out of a lot of the more controversial calls. Even if I see them, I'm like, all right. The one thing with that was it was called 2 minutes at the time and it's a suspension. So again, this is where I have that problem with the fact that all penalties seem to be 2 minutes, and yet if he stick swings like that, and if blood's drawn, then it's four. So it's just one of those oddities to me that without blood, it doesn't count as an injury. And yeah, you can swing your stick and just drill somebody with it and not necessarily draw blood and still hurt the guy. It's one of those inconsistencies with the NHL. I would love to see the whole blood thing kind of gone and referees just decide, yeah, you're fine, or okay, this guy's really hurt, and make it a 4 minute or a 5 minute. If you can say, you don't look at a replay and go, yeah, there's intent there. They review other penalties. There's no reason they can't. They even review high sticks to make sure it's not friendly fire. So yeah, Kuznetsov's out for a game. It's early in the season, and I guess no harm, no foul at this point. Sedlak has been waived by the Colorado Avalanche today. I didn't see anything about Bjork being claimed, so Bjork seems to have cleared, and Sedlak's on waivers. When they brought him in, I think they had plans to keep him on the fourth line. It would appear that those plans have changed, so he's on waivers. I think he probably clears. I would be kind of surprised if he didn't. Again, when half the teams in the league are up against the cap, I think we'll see a lot of guys end up on waivers this year that will surprise us, because GMs know I have very little chance of actually losing this player, and it gives me greater flexibility when it comes to the salary cap from here. The Board of Governors meeting starts today. By all accounts, there shouldn't be anything newsworthy coming out of this. This is basically where they sit down, they talk about the preseason, they talk about where they envision the money being for this year and how much they think they'll make and how much they think the cap could go up to next year. Other Board of Governors meetings tend to be a little more substantive in terms of maybe changes and things like that. Obviously, there wouldn't be any kind of rule change announcements coming out of this because we've already started the season. And it would appear from the start of the season and everything that there's no one rule that seems to be getting highlighted like they did with cross checks last year, like they have in other seasons with boarding, with whatever, right? Whatever the flavor of the day is when it comes to actually calling penalties. So, yeah, pretty quiet Board of Governors meeting is expected today. See, I say that, and then there's a major announcement out of it. I don't think so. Iafallo's on the injured reserve for the LA Kings. No idea for how long he's going to be out. It's a lower body injury. So Moverari has been called up by the LA Kings to step in until Iafallo's back. And again, no idea how long he'll be out. But he's on the injured reserve for it, so it's going to be for a bit. It's not long-term injured reserve, it's just injured reserve, so it shouldn't be too bad. Toronto, of course, there's a lot of talk about last night's loss against Arizona, and they're not intense enough, and keep talking about the Stars. And I'm not saying that's not true. They're off to a 2-2 start, and that's disappointing. But it is easy to forget that the Toronto Maple Leafs started off 2-4-1 last year, including an embarrassment of a 7-1 loss against Pittsburgh. And so, yeah, it's not the kind of start they're looking for. Yeah, they lost against Arizona, but they lost against Arizona last year, too, in Toronto. And, yeah, the 2-4-1 start last year, I remember there being comments about firing Sheldon Keefe, and the Leafs need to redo everything, and this team's trash. And then they went on a winning streak, and those comments kind of went away until they lose in the first round against Tampa, and then they all come back. So, because you got to play the hits, right? So that's the way that works. I don't think there's any reason for necessarily any sort of panic around them, but I'll be doing a panic index tomorrow where we have a better idea after tonight's games of maybe who should or shouldn't be panicked. But yeah, so for the Toronto Maple Leafs, I think that obviously last night's game was a disappointment. The goal being called back for what they ruled to be a hand pass, disappointment as well. But yeah, the Situation Room's been pretty consistent with a lot of that stuff, and at least they explained it after. Mike Keenan. So here's a blast for the past for all you fine people in my age range. He takes over as the new head coach for the Italian men's hockey team. And I thought that seemed kind of random until reading that Italy will host the 2026 games. So this really is a matter of we bring in Keenan. Odds are the Italian team will probably be made up of a lot of Canadian or American players who then have Italian citizenship, so they can play for the Italian team. And it wouldn't be the first time that's happened with an Italian team. I'm old enough to remember when that used to be the case with the German team, where you'd end up, watching Germany against Canada, you'd be like, so it's Canada against Canada, because those guys are all Canadian. So it may very well be the case with Italy's team as well. But yeah, so Mike Keenan is coaching once again. I think if he had a chance to come back to the NHL, he probably would. I don't think that's going to happen. I think those days are behind him. But hey, all the best to him on doing whatever he can to make Italy competitive for those next Olympics. And we'll see whether or not there's NHLers at the 2026 Olympics. I'm sure that'll be a sticking point between the union and the league before we know it. But between now and then, we've got the 2024 World Cup. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.